It's that time of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday night, after thoroughly enjoying Chelsea getting humbled 3-1 in Munich, a result so sweet the dog was actually howling in approval, the committee of 4 men and one very judgmental canine gathered late into the night, fueled by leftover takeaway and a questionable binge of Inventing Anna. We argued, we schemed, we wondered if the streets of Bavaria had somehow turned Caicedo into more of an MMA fighter than a footballer. And yes, we toiled and burned the midnight oil to bring you the definitive rankings the football world didn't know it needed, but can't live without. And now, without further ado, it's time for Anton'S Tears. Welcome along. It's my favorite segment of the week. It is Anton'S Tears. Before we get into it, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're subscribing to Hotsport because we've got more and more awesome content like this coming. But speaking of awesome content, might as well just, jump into this week's juicy version of Anton'S Tears on the eve of what is the Premier League. Match day 5. So let's get started. Let's begin. Bottom row. Well, I can't even call this bottom row. I reckon this is like below the bottom row because you got to score a goal first to qualify, right? Like, I don't even know if I can put them on the tiers. It's been that, like, it's not even like they haven't won a game yet. They haven't even scored a goal through 4 weeks, Aston Villa. I can't even say any more than that. Bottom of the tiers. Next on, talent disadvantage. Now, I gotta tell you, none of the teams really on this list are really in shame if you put things into consideration here, depending on the opponents they were playing and the performances, whatever. So Leeds and Wolves both lost 1-0. But I just feel like it's kind of due to the fact that they kind of just lack that elite player that kind of can get them over the line, a difference maker. Even Wolves, for instance, last year had a player like Cunha. I feel like every time I talk about Wolves this year, I talk about how they're missing Cunha. And look, Newcastle, away from, at Molineux, got a 1-0 win. But, it wasn't that much of a... the game was still there. Wolves, one moment could have gotten them a point. One moment, early, they're close. Newcastle is a good side that went away to Wolves. And it's they're just lacking that little bit of talent. And the same is for Leeds, against Fulham. And again, we'll get to Fulham in a second, but they had 90 minutes or so, Leeds, to have a foothold in the game at Craven Cottage. They defended well throughout this game. They deserve something out of this game. But again, they're just lacking something at the moment. And for me, that something is talent. As simple and as straightforward as that can get. Next up, so close yet so far. So now we're talking about two sides here who look. I don't think these sides are sides that are competing for anything really this year other than trying to survive. That's my honest opinion on the matter. So I have both of these sides relegated in my preseason predictions, as you all know. But Brentford at home played Chelsea. So Chelsea is a top 4 to 5 side in the Premier League, one of the most talented teams in the league, regardless of what you want to think. But look, they were right there. They got a point. They got a point at home, and you can question and say whatever it is about the refereeing decisions that came, into Brentford's equalizer, the offside decision or whatever. Just argue what that means on Hotsport. I know I've done it in the past, so I've spoken about referees and I used to do it on every single week's show, and I just feel Anton, let's stop moaning all the time about refs. I just don't want to talk about them this year. So I don't want to talk about it. But, Brentford, again, yet so far, because I just feel like they're fighting relegation, but they're able to get a good point, against Chelsea at home. And Burnley, a similar thing. Like, Burnley should have gotten a draw against Liverpool. And I feel like they're just somehow, I do not want to know what it is, but everyone wants to try to get Liverpool out of jail. Like Hannibal, it's so unlucky. Our hand strikes his arm, and then Liverpool just got given out of jail and walk away with the 3 points. In no way do I believe that Liverpool deserved that 3 points last week. They should have dropped 2. It should have been a draw. Burnley put in enough for a draw. Similarly, I was talking about with Leeds. Maybe they also, have a bit of a talent disadvantage. Massive. I think they're the least talented side. But they're close. Like, the difference between Leeds and Burnley is the Leeds was playing Fulham. Burnley was playing the so-called favorites at home and should have gotten a point. They were comfortably denying Liverpool throughout the entire game, and although Liverpool does not score in that game if it wasn't for that. So I feel gutted for them. I'm sorry. But again, they're still a relegation level side, and that's kind of it. So close, yet so far. Moving up, questionable managers. So I put these two in this game category. Let's start with West Ham. Like, they're starting to become a bit of a meme here, like a joke. Like, people are walking into their stadium thinking not only can they pick up the 3 points, but they're going to absolutely dominate West Ham on their own ground. Like, Spurs and Chelsea, London rivals, now have it what you will. There, you can say, look, they're, those are, top 5 sides in the league, granted. But West Ham should not be looking this bad at home. West Ham under David Moyes would not be looking this bad at home. You got to question if Graham Potter came in here and made West Ham worse. The reason why I have this questionable managers tagline here is because Forest and West Ham are probably, I can tell you what I had in my my rankings of them, like in terms of talent wise. Forest is number 9, West Ham is number 12, but they should be, but their talent is better than what their results is right so far, where they have them on tiers. We have 1, 3, 5, 7. So this is kind of like just about right below the mark. And I feel like, and we talk about with the Forest, right? Forest made a grave error. I don't know, like we talked about it last week, but the manager that's had the most success with them in decades, just they let him walk out the door for political reasons. Let's be honest, for personal pride or whatever was going on, because it wasn't to do with the pitch, with their performances. And now they got a manager who finished 17th last year, and it makes no sense to me. Like, they had a chance to be in that top 10 to push European competitions, and again, I believe they got embarrassed in the EFL Cup in the middle of, or not in the EFL Cup, in Europe. Wait, Nottingham Forest. What was, to be fair, I wasn't paying attention because I was watching the Champions League, and they had the Champions League basically the whole week. But I believe it was some sort of bad result for them, was it not? Yeah, okay, yeah. They got knocked out of the cup by Swansea. 3-2. So out of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup, EFL Cup, whatever you want to call it. So, there's no shame in losing to Arsenal at the Emirates, but then Nuno would have beaten Swansea. Like it's just like, you have this talented side that you've compiled, and you're not giving them the tools. Like both Forest and West Ham. I digress, but that's where they are. And they're here not because of the talent in their squad, but because the managers are questionable. Moving up, decent but inconsistent. So Yeah, I think both of them like have had kind of like mixed seasons. Like they're like Jekyll and Hyde. That would have been a nice name as well. But I believe I've used Jekyll and Hyde as a tier name before. Maybe I haven't. I'll review again with the committee next week before we make the tier names, because that's a very, very good one. Maybe for these two. But like Brighton, like before the international break, they beat City at home. And this week, right, they go away to Bournemouth, and they lose. Like I feel like they're a better side at home, and than they are away. Maybe I should call this one home cooking. I don't know. Like there are plenty of different things you could have put in this tier, because Sunderland are a completely different side at home than they are away from home. Like I was saying last week that, Palace are going to have a tough out at home against Sunderland. And they did in a certain way, like from a Palace point of view. But from a Sunderland point of view, they're like a beasts at home. Like you should see the results they're getting at home. I believe like they've got 2 wins out of 2 so far at home in the league, and no victories away from home. So like it's a bit inconsistent from both of these sides. They're going to be comfortably mid-table, either of them. Like and for Sunderland, a team that's just come up, I think that's really kind of punching where they want to punch. So I don't think that they're going to be really complaining. And for Brighton, it's basically where they've been since they've entered the league. And again, that's sort of their bread and butter. So yeah, decent but inconsistent. But again, it's not really that much of a knock. Next, moving on. On the way up. Now, this is where me and the committee had a really heated fight the other day, because I was battling in the corner of Newcastle. And for me, it's mainly because then I've spoken to Ash. If you guys watched the Fire Them Candace podcast, big up my podcast, we were talking about this as well. Like, you can kind of just throw out some of their first 3 games, and I think he makes a really good point because of the Isak drama, because they were lacking a striker, and they can be kind of excused. But if you go to Wolves, a team that they should be far superior than, and it was only one singular goal that they were able to score. Now, like, again, Woltemade, that's his first game in the Premier League, and he did his job. He scored the winner. They did the job. But this is where why I have it on the way up. I think Newcastle are going to get better from here. If you watched their performance against Barcelona in the Champions League, like Barcelona needed a screamer from Rashford really to earn themselves the 3 points at Newcastle. We're talking about Barcelona, right? Semi-finalists of the Champions League last year. Like, Newcastle gave them a right go. They're going to give everybody a right go. They're going to, like, Bournemouth this weekend. Like, Bournemouth have had a good start to the season. Newcastle is going to be a tough game for Bournemouth. I would be surprised if Newcastle came away with 3 points in that one. Like, that one could go either way. I actually was thinking about it, putting it on my upset alert. But I'm like, but who's the one getting an upset? Because Newcastle is the more talented side, but their form hasn't been as good as Bournemouth. And Bournemouth has been, the team with a better form, but probably are less talented. So I'm like, I'm getting out of this conversation in terms of upset alert. But yeah, I think that that things can only get better here. Like Wissa, I know he's injured. He's on the mend. Hopefully he'll be back in the next, I don't know, like, it doesn't seem like he's coming back actually anytime soon, which is crazy. I thought that Wissa was just holding out, but apparently he's really legitimately injured. So, but it's good. It's good experience for Woltemade. Interesting that they didn't trust him, that Eddie didn't trust him in the Champions League game, given that Europe is probably a better stage for a guy like that than the Premier League, because the Premier League is way more physical. But I think they're only going to go up from here. So Newcastle fans, don't get too triggered by where I put you on this list. And by the way, put you under the teams that I'm about to put up in a few seconds. I battled for you guys. The committee were harsh, and I still, would you see the names up here? like it sent me fucking through the roof. Like, no way should Newcastle be behind these guys. But I got outvoted. Now, speaking of which, now you'll see the rage why I was upset. But the committee voted. Up next. Why are you here? And this was my name for it because I'm like, why are you here? You should be lower. But this was the argument that the committee made for each of them. Firstly, Crystal Palace are here. Let's just kind of have a review of Crystal Palace so far, right? Throughout the season. They're on 6 points. So 50% winning ratio, 2 wins, 2 defeats on the season, thusly. But again, they got more points than the Newcastle is what I just keep being told. And, you know, some of the performances they put in, like Aston Villa and stuff, like they're basically, the point is that they're saying like this. Look at their performance away at Villa Park, and then you can give them a break sort of with the Sunderland result. Like, this is a team sort of in transition. They believe, like the committee believes that, you know, Crystal Palace, because of Oliver Glasner, is going to be there and thereabouts. Like, I maybe am using my Arsenal glasses. I'm like, well, you don't have Eze anymore. And they're sort of like, forget Eze. Like, it's not about individual players for Crystal Palace. It's the manager. And they got more points than Newcastle so far. The next one, similar argument for Everton. Now, like, I don't think Everton is anywhere near the talent level of Newcastle. But thus far, they've really pushed it. They've got a positive goal difference, which Newcastle does not have. They got 7 points this year, so they've only lost on 1 occasion. 2 wins, a draw, 1 defeat this season for Everton, and the defeat was the first week of the season. Like, they've done really well, you know, recently, and they're going to give Liverpool a tough time, especially considering at what time the match is. Also, after the time that Liverpool played in the Champions League. But I don't want to spoil any future segments here. But Everton, you know, are punching above the weight. Fulham, here's the argument for Fulham. Again, same amount of points, same amount of goals scored, like as Newcastle. I still don't get it. Hey, committee members and Bango, you're making me a mug on my own show. Why do I have Fulham ahead of Newcastle? Okay. So I'm being told that it's because of Fulham's average opponent rank that it's been more difficult, that the level of difficulty is harder. I'm having committee members text me while I'm on the segment because they're clearly annoyed that, you know, I throw them under the bus here. So apparently it's because of strength. It's a strength of schedule thing. Now, Newcastle played Liverpool, but besides that, yeah, the opponents, like, you throw Wolves in there, you throw Leeds in there, you throw Villa in there, like, even Villa have yet to score a goal. So those are your other 3 matches that they've played. So that's what they're saying. It's just Newcastle's point total is underwhelming considering their schedule. That's what they're saying. Now, this other one, Manchester United. Now, before anybody kills me, because Man United should be lower on this list. And I'll have Man United fans probably in the comment section telling me, like, you're hilarious putting Man United this high up the tiers. But, like, I still believe in the talent. I actually still believe in the manager. I just think, like, they still got to kind of get it together. I still think they'll be okay. And I think, like, I'm just going to say it now. Like, I think they're going to surprise you this week. Like, everyone thinks this is the nail in the coffin weekend. I feel like this is the Man United are going to finally wake up and respond weekend. Like, I like, everyone wants to put the pressure. This is kind of just the way it is being a Manchester United. Like, you're under the microscope all the time. And yeah, they lost 3-0, but they lost 3-0 to a side that has won the treble in recent years. that has won 4 titles in a row. And it's just like, it's a bit of an insult to Man City. Like, this is what happens when everyone is putting them on like this expectation, like, oh, I think United can go and get something out of this match against Man City away. Then when the reality hits and they get outclassed by a side that's much better than them, then all of a sudden the criticism is harsh. I still think that Man United are probably, what did I have them? Okay, top 8 in sort of talent. So the talent carries them up there. And also, by the way, they played Arsenal and City, so the strength of schedule is there too. Let's see. And by the way, and they play Chelsea this weekend too. Like, it's been a rough schedule for Manchester United, let's be honest. So let's say they get 3 points, get 8 points from their first possible 15, considering they played Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. I think you could say, like, it's not as bad as people are making it out in their heads. Now, I feel like everyone's going to start clowning me. I'm good. I'm having to take the brunt of this. But the other 3, like Fulham, I was like, what is this? Fulham is not better than Newcastle. Everton is not better than Newcastle. Palace is not better than Newcastle. Man United, talent-wise, is on that level, but people want to make it worse than it seems. But yeah, why you there is the question. It's first off, it's like, you know, Man United probably, that's why I named it this. Like, Man United probably should be lower. Why are you here? Fulham probably should be lower. Why are you here? Everton, I wasn't expecting to be here at this time of the season, but congratulations to them. They've been good. And Crystal Palace, considering who they lost, their talisman, I didn't expect them to be here, but you know, big ups to Oliver Glasner. You know, like, he's got that team, and remember, they still got, you know, boys like Mateta and Gahey who were key to their success. And Yeremy Pino, who I think, as he gets acclimatized to their team, you know, they're going to be better. So, again, no one expected these teams to be in this high up the tiers. That's why it's like, why are you here? Next up, best of the rest. And so, obviously, coming up after this are going to be the top 2 tiers of the tiers. And beyond this, I feel like there's a gap. There's the best 3 teams in the country, and then there's a gap. So this is the best of the rest. And Bournemouth, 9 points. It's the same amount of points as Arsenal. That's more points this season than Chelsea. That's more points this season than Manchester City. That's more points this season than Newcastle, than Man United, than, you know, like, same amount of points as Spurs. Like, Bournemouth have been one of the most informed sides in the league. It's about time. Last week we did this year's Forest. Bournemouth to me are almost looking like they're running clear. Maybe I'm talking too early because after 4 matches, but it seems like they're running clear in terms of like this year's Forest. Like they could. I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth make European, like make like the Conference League or the Europa League next year. Best of the rest, honestly, I've been very, very impressed. And Semenyo, my friend, again. Let me look at the box score from last week. I'm pretty sure Semenyo got on the score sheet again for the Cherries. Yep, but it was a penalty, yeah. That gave them the win over Brighton. But man of the match performance again, it says here on Premier League thing. See? Man of the match, Antoine Semenyo. So, yeah, congratulations. Chelsea. Again, they're talent-wise, they're talented as F. They've got some injuries in the striker positions, but the reason why I can't put them in that conversation, like a lot of people want to, like I saw a Chelsea fan on my other network, like the one that I volunteer for. Big up the Terrace, but I saw one say like, very convinced that like Chelsea are going to win the league. Like he said it like as if it was like a I don't know, man. I gotta give credit to some people because they say their opinions and they back their clubs in a scary way, like with a straight face. Was like, yeah, nah, no, we're winning it, man. Just talk. But at the end of the year, you'll see that sort of attitude. Which, by the way, I got that in spades for my own club, right? But I just don't think that Chelsea are quite there. Like, they've got those results in them. The draw on the first match of the season against Chelsea. The draw last week. Now you can go and cry. Like, this is the difference between me and Terry's approach to this. Terry's approach is like, I'm going to call out the PGMOL for every single team. I'm going to keep the same energy for every single team. My approach is, I agree with Terry, but football is like, it's just like, refereeing is so subjective nowadays. Like, you can put 3 or 4 people around a table and you get different opinions on the same call. So I'm leaving myself out of it. I'm just going to go on the results. I'm just going to go on the performances. And at the end of the day, I actually think Brentford deserved on their performance to get away with a draw at home against Chelsea. So the performance from Chelsea wasn't good enough. I feel like they had one eye on Europe because they had to go away to Bayern. But the inconsistencies is why I just can't put them in that elite category. Now, the one team that has an argument to go into that elite category, and that's Tottenham Hotspur. And if you think about it, where I put Bournemouth on this list, right? That's the one loss they've had. I have them on the same tier. Beyond that, like, they spanked West Ham last week. They spanked Burnley on the first game of the season. They went to City and embarrassed them, pantsed them, took their man card. I say this every week. They've had a really good season. And then in the Champions League, like, they were just so solid. The way that they approach Champions League football, it's like Thomas Frank is built for it. I'm a gooner here, and I'm impressed with Tottenham. Now, I just think, again, they're just come short of those top 3 teams. I still think there's a bit of a difference. And you have to keep in mind that Tottenham is coming from 17th, and they have to sort of work their way up. But of the 3 teams on this tier that had a chance to come to go up or be up there, I would say it's Spurs. So big up to them. Big up to my rivals from across the street. I'm impressed so far, and I'm impressed with your signings. Next up, it's the big blue shark in the water. That's Big Steve, the Man City fan. He coined this term, and he kept saying this, in the year that we bought all the league. It's like, that big blue shark in the water. And the reason why I've used this week to use this term, because the rules of the tiers. I can't use the same name twice. And I'm just like, Arsenal and Liverpool, and it's no surprise, they can be the ones next up on the tiers, right? Because we have nowhere else to go. We've got 1 tier left. We've got 2 teams remaining, so use the deduction as you will. But me and many others maybe were a bit hasty in canceling out now Man City. Now, I thought Man City would do to United what they did to United. I did say that. I know I put them on upset alert, but then I said in the same thing, like, yeah, they're on upset alert because this is what the people are saying, but I actually think that people are sorely underestimating City. And since then, they have a convincing win against Man United in the derby, and then they had of course, that game was kind of ruined with the Di Lorenzo red card. But again, they showed their might. Like, Erling Haaland, again, a man being very disrespected. Probably the best striker in the world. And people not giving him his flowers still. It's just weird. I feel like it's like haterade. I don't get it. But he's scored now 50 goals in the Champions League in his young career. And Doku, what a great goal he scored, in Napoli. Like, they're going to come to the Emirates. Now, here's the thing, right? And this is sort of the big game of the week. Them against Arsenal, right? They get a win at Emirates. Now, please God, no, knocking on wood, that doesn't happen. But they do, in that scenario, they're right there with us. And Liverpool have got a tricky fixture, so they continue that form. They make it 3 wins out of 3 coming out from the break, and all of a sudden, Man City are right there. Don't disrespect them. Don't forget about them. They're just hovering underneath. They're letting everybody sort of just count them out, and they're like just right below the surface. You were that little fin pointing up at the top, the big blue shack, like underestimate Man City at your peril. That's kind of the way that I feel about them. And I got to give them the utmost respect because they're coming to my stadium this Sunday for the showdown. And it's up to Mikel Arteta and Arsenal to just do what they kind of did last year. Take it to them. Show people that he isn't afraid at home, that home is different than away when he comes to these games. And that he's going to come out there and show no fear. Because, people fear sharks. Don't underestimate City. Don't count them out. Obviously, way too many people just assume that, they were done. And, they got so many problems, all this stuff. Like, no. No. Not me. I'm not making that same mistake again. Not doing it. Next up, top of the tiers. Ready, set, go! And I'm going to start rattling some people here, like I do every time the name Liverpool comes up in conversation. When are we going to finally just come to the reality that it's not a huge gap between Liverpool and Arsenal? Like, I'm going to start with Arsenal to begin with. Arsenal this week have proven to everybody that my claims that they have the best depth in Europe. Now, we just dissected it on the 5 and Cannons podcast. So, Madrid are definitely a shout, but they're 1 or 2, right? They're 1 or 2. They're definitely in shout for this. But the depth just showed. Like, no Saka. Odegaard came off again. Ben White didn't play. Declan Rice didn't even start the game. Like, no Saliba. Havertz still out, right? Like, see the missing piece. I mean, this sounds shameless, but Jesus is still out. He's able to rotate the team and play with different lineups, and they still beat Nottingham Forest convincingly. Nottingham Forest, a team that qualified for Europe last year, that going into the last day of the season had a chance to qualify for the Champions League. Like, that is like what people don't understand. I get it. Like, I've said this so many times. I get it. Liverpool have got Isak, they got Salah, they got guys like Van Dijk, and again, Van Dijk came up big with a big winner in Europe. But guys, the coverage on Arsenal has been way too unserious. Everyone's just looking to banter, and they start off by talking about the trophyless thing, but guess what? Arsenal have, overall as a collective, they've got a deep well of talent that they can turn to. And when you're playing a big schedule and all the matches that they do, no one is more equipped as the Gunners to survive to survive the big schedule. Facts. So, okay, and then Liverpool, like, this is why I'm trying to put the two back on the same level, right? I put them on the same level because I just feel like Liverpool, like I said it earlier, like they were never going to score if they weren't handed a penalty. And then in the middle of the week, yeah, they look great on the ball and they create some amazing goals. But they're not convincing me. They're not dominating games. This team should be dominant. And they are not. I'm putting them at the top of the tiers because they deserve to be here. But Arsenal and Liverpool, ready, set, go. The title race starts now. Who's going to last the test of time? And that has been Anton's Tears for the week. Everybody, thank you so much. Make sure you're liking, make sure you are subscribing to the channel, and we will see you guys later. Anton out.